And here we have our Protoss player coming into this a little bit favored, but he's a little bit on the ropes now that Moon has figured out his Blink Stalker style. Will he do something different? Change it up?
HongUn Prime Wii.
HongUn Prime Wii getting up into the yellow mode on his APM. And here is our Zerg player, an absolute legend of Warcraft 3, one of the top 3 players of all time, undisputedly in War 3, trying to be successful in StarCraft 2.
Doing an extractor trick.
Doing an extractor trick.
He
Like
looks
a
really
boss.
focused.
Boss. By the way, thanks again to LG Cinema 3D, Intel, and of course, G-Skill. All producers of quality computer parts.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have G-Skill RAM, why is that? Why is that? It sounds so cool. It's like G-Skill. What do you have, OCZ or whatever, or Kingston RAM? No. Get some G-Skill. It gives you the skill to play StarCraft 2 at a high level.
It definitely is the most awesome sounding name as RAM producers go. Now, HongUn's going to open up the same way. Nothing cheeky, nothing shenaniganish going on here for HongUn, and Moon is going to go ahead and do a pretty similar opening as well.
Yeah, it's the safest opening, Speedling Expand. If you're a newer Zerg player and you're just trying to, you haven't really figured out your timings, go gas first. Try it. Play with it a little bit. If you have been trying to just go hatchery first, because that's what Idra does a lot, and it's good for expanding. You want to get your economy going.
Yeah.
Try going speed first, because you don't lose that much of your economy doing it, and it's extremely safe.
Yeah, and it's become the standard a lot more in recent months as well. People used to do, it depends on the map. If you're on Terminus 3 and you're playing a no-rush 15 game, you might want to expand first, get your hatchery first. But dual site, very smart move to go for that Speedling expand.
Yeah, I would agree. Zergling speed has started. HongUn has started his second gas as well, so we're not going to see any sort of one gas play from him. And that's almost the new standard. A lot of the time you'd see 4 gates, 1 gas play, and you never really know. When you see the 1 gas, you're like, oh, he could be doing all these different things. And now it's almost always that's impossible. You never see it anymore. Stalker first is something that HongUn's been doing. He's doing that again this game, skipping that Zealot. The Zerglings are coming. He might try to slow them down with that probe, so they don't get up and see what he's up to.
Yeah, that's interesting, skipping that Zealot. And it barely paid off for him last time. But and it looks as if it's going to pay off for him again.
Yeah.
This probe is getting back there. I think the Stalker's the Stalker again barely comes out in time to block any lings that went up there, and partly because he didn't really go straight for the main. He expected there to be a Zealot, so he didn't even bother. Kind of missed out on his opportunity there. And HongUn, the reason why players do that, by the way, again, just for newer players,
for the nubs,
is you want to skimp on everything you can. The Zealot is mostly kind of a precautionary thing, and so if you can get away with not building it and still be just as safe, then that's 100 mils that you can spend on faster
gateways,
something else.
Whatever you want, basically. Really good point. Mole Trap, you're like a good teacher.
Thank you.
So we are going to see HongUn add 2 more gateways, it looks like. Now I'm wondering if he's going to do another similar build, kind of trick his opponent. He is making that pylon down on the low ground. So, he could be fooling us so far. So far, we don't know what he's doing.
We have no idea what he's doing.
Sneaky. I would be surprised if
we can only see his every move. We have no idea what's going on.
We don't know what's going on in his mind.
But it looks like he is saving up for an expansion.
Yeah, it looks like he really is going to do it this time.
And in the meantime, Fox Moon getting that Roach Warren and an Ego Chamber.
He gets those both at the same time. He did that last game as well. I think that's extremely safe.
He really seems to like those upgrades. And again, HongUn moving down his ramp a little bit earlier than we might expect, with a little bit less defense than we might expect. But this time, Moon's like really set on droning up early anyway, just as he has been in past games. So again, it's still going to be okay for HongUn. He's not going to get caught off guard, but he's actually building a lot of sentries this time instead of Stalkers, so changing it up a little.
Not adding a Forge yet either, and that's kind of risky, but sometimes you can get away with that. Moon did take a fast third base on Metalopolis, so he might be off to do something like that again. So he might be feeling pretty safe. +1 missile attack, or melee attacks, excuse me, on the way. Again for Moon. Man, I'm tongue-tied all over the place. These missile attacks, the melee attacks, the Moon. Moon taking the gold base.
Lots of things starting with M's.
They do.
Yeah, he's finally now putting down a couple more gateways to wall things off. I like how when his Nexus was just a budding young Nexus, he kind of stayed up his ramp because he knew he didn't really have to go down there.
Exactly.
If need be, he could cancel or move down the ramp or whatever, have a little bit better spot. Now that the Nexus is complete, he kind of has to move down there and protect it, so...
No,
but he's got a wall, so...
Showing the gateways at the bottom of the ramp is interesting because it kind of shows your opponent, okay, I'm making a lot of gateways. I'm not teching right now, and I'm not making a forge. So it might make Moon a little bit scared. Whether or not he actually uses those gateways and adds any more is yet to be seen, but it might make Moon a little bit scared that some sort of timing attack is coming, and that may be why he's making them out in the open like that. Of course, it's partially due to the fact that it's a great tool to wall with, but making those instead of a forge or some sort of tech structure. Yeah, he might be being a little aggressive soon.
Yeah, his SimCity is actually really nice there. He's got it so that speedlings cannot even run around the back. I think they might be able to get past that back pylon, but it's very difficult to press an attack on that front door, and he's actually going to need that in case of a counterattack, because he is pushing out now with several sentries, several stalkers, a couple zealots, and the probe to make a forward pylon so he can warp in more units.
Yeah.
He is going for a heavy two-base attack here with, I believe, 5 gateways total.
Yeah, and he's actually attacking the place where he thinks Moon's third base would likely be, but in fact that's not the case. There's actually no third base there, but Moon does not have that many units. He's actually going to push forward. Gonna have to use some good Guardian Shields and Force Fields to defeat this Roach army, but a lot of shots being made on top of Moon's Roaches before they really join the fight. Some good Force Fields. Zealots even getting in damage on Roaches. That's not what you want to have happen. And Moon losing a lot of units here. Zergling's not able to join the fight.
Now some Force Fields do go up to protect against those Zerglings. They still get a few hits in. Down to only 4 sentries. He might start losing Stalkers. Some of them are very badly damaged, but he's warping in more units back here to join into the fray. And Moon is really in trouble right now.
Yeah, a lot of his production at that third hatchery is very far away. Pulling drones right now, and HongUn not even microing, knowing he's got so many more Stalkers. Now he's like, okay, there may be a few too many drones for me to just sit here. Doesn't have this game won quite yet, but Moon losing a lot here. In fact, he's lost about 8 workers, I'd say, from that engagement. Despite having that third base off, he's starting to hurt a little bit. Yeah,
now he did lose several drones, but he does have the high yield up at the top, so he's able to keep his income pretty high. But here comes the Roaches moving in. They're actually target down some Stalkers, then attack the Zealots, charging in very quickly. He does finally have speed and burrow, which he hasn't really been using so far this fight. He burrows a little bit, and HongUn walks right on top of those Roaches, but force fields the ramp so that reinforcements cannot come down to join the fight. And Moon continuing to fight with just a few Roaches. He burrows, but he doesn't have anything left right now to reinforce with even.
Yeah, I think Moon is looking pretty dead right now in Bull Trap. He's just lost too much. And again, burrow just not done in time. If you burrow Roaches, they're invincible temporarily, but if your opponent just has more Stalkers than you, then when you unburrow, it doesn't even matter, and they all just die. So, looks like he's going to lose his natural at the very least.
The hatchery is about to go down. Does fall. Broodlings popping out doing virtually nothing to those Zealots. Those Zealots are like, a light snack. He doesn't know about the high yield, but there's actually not as many drones up there as I thought. So Moon really does not have a very good income right now. He is really on the ropes right now, and he's got no reason to leave. You know, it's his last game. If he leaves now, he's out of the tournament completely in the round of 64. So it makes sense to stay in and at least make an attempt, but it's really going to be hard for him to come back in this.
And actually, HongUn is backing up. Has he scouted that base? No, he doesn't know, but he's actually going right towards it. His spider senses are tingling because he's going right for that gold base.
Yeah, man.
We are going to have somewhat of a counterattack, though. Speedling's trying to run in, attack HongUn's base, but he's got such a nice wall off that's not really doing that much.
Yeah, and the counterattack. There's the counterattack going on. It's going to do virtually nothing. The Stalkers are going to come in here and wipe up. And
well, here come a lot of Roaches, though.
Actually, yeah.
Too indecisive, Moon. Got to be more decisive than that if you're going to attack with those Roaches. He did that in both fights. Just gave a lot of free shots away to those Stalkers.
Yeah.
Does lose the gold base and immediately takes the opposite gold.
I was talking to LZ Gamer actually earlier, a very good, very strong North American player.
Yeah.
And he was talking to him about how sometimes you like beat a player and you're like, why are they still in the game? And then you look around and they've got extra bases everywhere. So that's exactly what HongUn did. He's like, wait a minute, I killed his Nat and he's not gone yet? He must have a third somewhere. I'll bet it's at the high yield. So he just went up there blind, expecting it to be there. Anyway, getting a Spire now from Moon. So he's still going to try and stay in this.
Yeah, and he does have that gold base going back up again. Well, the opposite gold. Now, HongUn's wall-up is going to come back to bite him a little bit if the mutas do come out, because it makes it very difficult to go back and forth between your base. But it looks like we're going to have another engagement here, and Moon's army is very small. In fact, he's 40 supply down right now, and it has about half the drones of his opponent. So HongUn just really, if he continues to be aggressive here, I'm not sure if Moon can hold.
Yeah, he was... Moon, he said, all right, I'm going to see if I can scare him with these roaches, make him fall back enough that I can get a couple more bases up. He took both high yields, but now HongUn's like, all right, I held off your pithy counterattack. I'm going to have to move out again, and yeah, I don't know if Moon can hold this next push off.
I don't think he can, but he's going to try. Stalker's picking off some of those Zerglings. Moon just trying to get into a good concave position, but the fact of the matter is there's just too many Stalkers. Cancels that hatchery at the last second, trying to buy time to get that other gold base up, but the fact of the matter is he's 20 drones behind at this point, so just does not have a very strong income, doesn't have a natural base at all, he hasn't remade that. Just so many units for HongUn, just bouncing around the map.
I meant to say pitiful, by the way, not piffy, just for the record. Yeah, and I like how Moon, he knows he just needs to like try and buy some time, so he's just running around in circles. Actually, hold that thought, he might get caught now. Blink is in, he could blink forward and completely surrounds the roaches with a Stalker field. And the few Zerglings are just gonna get caught by those Stalkers as well at the natural and driven off. And yeah, oh my gosh, Moon.
Well, he does have a few mutas out, he's got 6 mutalists out, but they're not going to do a whole lot. Basically, HongUn can just warp in a few Stalkers at home to hold, and I think that's exactly what he's going to do, because right now he's going to send all of his forces to try to end the game.
I mean, what's HongUn going to say? Oh no, Mutalisks, I should get Blink Stalkers. Oh wait, I already have 30 of them.
He's actually leaving a ton of them at home as well, just in case. Should be perfectly fine. Here come the mutas. HongUn going into the natural again, about to jump into the main.
And jump at the top. A little bit of a harassment going in with the Mutalisks. Going to take out actually a few Stalkers along with the Zerglings, but he's going to lose his main at the same time. And GG coming from Fox Moon. Poor guy.
HongUn played well.
Poor Warcraft 3 legend. He put up a good fight,
but I am sorry for Moon. You know, he's trying to put a lot into StarCraft 2. Former Warcraft 3 player, the 5th race, as people called him, and a lot of his fans really want him to do well, and so far he just hasn't, and that makes me sad.
Yeah, man. He started off playing actually pretty not at the level it should be in GSL, and then he kind of picked his game up, and he hasn't been making like a lot of the dumb mistakes he was before, but he still just hasn't been at the right level to really compete. So poor Moon continues to stay out of all GSL events for the most part.
But he's not done yet. You'll see him a lot in foreign events, I'm sure. And you know, part of it is we made Fox in StarCraft 2, tiny team, Lin and Moon, and I wonder if they're going to recruit some players soon, and I think that's part of their weakness right now. I mean, it's a very tiny StarCraft 2 team.
That's a good point, actually, that you know, don't really have a lot of people to play with necessarily. Of course, people can play outside of their team, but they don't have people that are like dedicated to helping them practice.
Yeah, I think once We Made Fox expands a little bit for StarCraft 2, then that's when they're really going to start picking up, getting some better practice and starting to show some better results.
Hopefully so. But yeah, at the very least, some pretty solid games. We saw some really good, solid play by HongUn. I gotta say, he's, you know, I've always known he was pretty solid. I've said that like 3 times now in the past 15 seconds, but I never really was impressed by him. But you know what? He had some pretty impressive Blink Micro.
Time I was really impressed by HongUn, like really impressed by HongUn, was when some fans taking a shot of HongUn right next to us, actually.
Should I photobomb him?
No, I don't think you can.
Okay.
But anyways, when HongUn held off an attack from Fruit Dealer and he was making this crazy wall with his gateways and pylons, I don't know if you guys remember that game. I think it was from GSL Season 3, Open Season 3. Do you know what the game I'm talking about? Multrap, I got all these games. I always remember all these specific games. But we are going to take a 2-minute break.
We'll be back in a couple minutes with some more great games.